Alrighty, so we have 30 minutes and we are going to make the most of all of our time today. I want to welcome you to our 30-minute career presentation. We are talking about micro-internships, how to find them, how to apply for them. We're going to go through all of that. My name is Lauren. I'm a career coach with Kelley, Indianapolis Career Services, and I'm really excited to share with you about this partnership. It's brand new for us. It's a great way for you to build experience while you're here in school. And of course, I am joined by my fearless team. I have Hannah Brown and also Luke Kieper here with us. They're going to be manning our Q&A and our chat feature. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in either one of those areas. They'll be able to monitor that and provide some response. And in addition, they're going to be sharing some links and resources too for you throughout today's presentation. So be sure to grab those out of the chat before we head off of our chat today. So what we're going to talk about as a large overview are what are micro-internships. This is a brand new term for many of us. So we're going to discover what those are, and then what the process is to find them and how to apply. And then of course, what the keys are for success, because micro-internships are very similar to what a regular internship looks like, but there's some key differences, and those keys to success will make sure that you will get additional projects even after your first micro-internship. So let's go ahead and get started here. So what is a micro-internship? Well, when a company wants someone to complete a project and they're not able to hire an intern, maybe for that full 3 or 4 months, they're turning to something called micro-internships. This is a big thing nowadays with the gig economy, right? It's almost like contract work. And it's a way for a company to get a project done fast. And for a student, it's good in 2 ways, right? It gets you the opportunity to build skills and also to test drive what a job looks like. It's low commitment, so you're not spending 3 to 4 months in a role, but you are getting a small snapshot to be able to build that experience here. So let's dive into this a little bit more. So that's kind of the overview of what a micro-internship is and why it exists. But micro-internships last anywhere between 10 and 40 hours. And that's in total. That is not a weekly thing. That's what you would do for the entire project. And they're all paid too. So huge benefit. That's something that we always like to see here at Kelley. You're being paid for expertise. Now, companies who post projects are going to range from anywhere between a Fortune 500 company to a small business or maybe even a mid-sized company. And of course, the projects are meant to help you enhance those skill sets and expand that experience. So your assignments look really similar to what you do when you're in an internship, or even what someone who is hired in a new position might actually complete as an entry-level role. So the projects are definitely on scale with what you're able to bring to the organization. Now, all projects do have what we call an onboarding process, and there's a supervisor that's associated with them. So they're going to get you familiar with what the project is, more about their company, and of course, the context for what you're going to be doing when you're building this project and doing this micro-internship. Of course, there's also an evaluation piece at the end of this too, because it's important to learn what you did really well and where you have room for improvement. And that's provided to you by that supervisor as well. So micro-internships, great for someone who's looking for a first experience and they maybe don't have an internship. So this gives you that opportunity to go in there and find a short-term role to gain more of it. But in addition to that, if there's a circumstance maybe where you're working quite a bit and you need more flexibility in getting an opportunity and aren't able to take 3 to 4 months off during a school year or even over the summer, micro-internships have that flexibility to fit within your schedule. Now, micro-internships are very similar to how you will apply for a regular internship. I'm going to show you a little bit about that later, but the process doesn't look entirely different. It's really more of what the project entails and how short it is that makes the biggest difference. Now, depending upon the employer's preference, you might be completing a project remote or on site. But I will say about 90% of the projects in the system that we're going to access here in a minute were remote, and that was prior to COVID. And that number is actually higher now. It's probably close to about 99 or 100% at this point. So remote opportunities continue to dominate this, and that means that you could be working with a company that is not local, and in order to gain some of that experience. So really, really cool way to expand what is already here in Indianapolis and then across the United States. Now, unlike traditional internships, when you complete a particular internship, you might do it during a semester, right? So you are doing one in fall, spring, or summer. Now, micro-internships don't follow that pattern. There's something that we call on demand. So a project appears when a company needs it done, whether that happens over the winter break or that happens in the middle of spring break, or you see it right now this week. That is the big benefit, is that you can fit them into your schedule when it makes sense for you. Now, micro-internships are a perfect resume builder. I think I've hinted on this already. It's also beautiful if you're trying to decide between multiple industries, right? You aren't sure yet, you're leaning on the fence. This allows you to explore because you're only spending maybe a maximum of 40 hours in a position. And if you like it, you do more of it. If you don't, then it was only 40 hours that you committed to it. So a great way to pursue multiple opportunities to kind of foster that exploration process. So micro-internships are occurring across multiple industries. In fact, when you go into our system, and I'll show you it here actually just in a minute, you'll see all industries represented, all the way from banking to accounting. We'll see things in human resources, and those functional areas too are also represented pretty widely. I will show you a couple of examples of projects too that these organizations are putting in there. But it's kind of a smattering, which is great for you if you're looking to see where you might fit in the types of positions you would be eligible for. So I've talked a lot about this system, and now we actually get to explore it. The system in the organization that Kelley has partnered with is called Parker Dewey, and we're going to explore what this system actually looks like, and we'll also be giving you some resources too a little bit later in the presentation on how to access it. So Parker Dewey has all kinds of different projects, and I've listed a few here that I just pulled probably maybe 2 or 3 days ago. So the projects are all over the map. Here's a few that you could do within sales, some needing some help with lead generation, HR, we have some in evaluating best practices, marketing has some within research, finance, a lot of analysis, different financial modeling. But the projects, of course, change on a daily and weekly basis. So you could see these examples and then probably hundreds of more. Now, the project supervisor who works with you on these projects does provide a lot of detail and context and, of course, feedback on the project that you're developing itself. So without further ado, let's explore a little bit about what the system actually looks like and what you need to do in order to have a profile that's set up that will help employers understand who you are and what you have to offer. So Parker Dewey has a website, and Luke is actually going to include this link here in the chat for us. You'll go to parkerdewey.com/career launchers, and there's a green button that says sign up now, and this is how you actually create a profile. For those of us who are very familiar with Kelley Careers, this is a separate system. It does not feed into it, but the beauty of it is that you can use any email address you want or tie it to any account that you would like. So I'll kind of explore that a little bit later here. Now, as you might imagine, you do have to have some kind of a profile within the system. And the profile is important for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's how the system knows what kind of opportunities to feed into your database. So if you are looking for only finance positions, and maybe you're looking also for marketing, that's what's going to dominate your profile and also the for you to see what's in the database itself. So in the chat box, Hannah's going to include a quick guide to setting up your account. And your Parker Dewey account really mimics what a LinkedIn profile looks like. So a lot of benefit, most of us already have that. So you can utilize that LinkedIn profile to mimic what you're going to be building here in Parker Dewey. You'll have a personal statement. This is 140 characters long, and it's something that should be action driven. So I would encourage you to consider a statement like, I'm a passionate digital marketing professional with interest in SEO marketing. That gives us a little bit of context as to the type of roles and goals that you also have set for yourself as a professional. There's this option too for you to select affiliations, and I want you to think about these as more like club or professional associations. So if some of us are involved in the HR club or maybe the marketing association, you would add those into your affiliations there. Now, skills and certifications, this is pretty broad, right? So we can be including general skills such as maybe I'm good at writing or communication pieces, but they can also include very industry specific skills. So if you want to be known for marketing and social media tools, you'll want to add those to your particular profile. On the back end, when an employer actually creates a project, they'll be listing these different skills too that they're looking for. So therefore, the system will be able to see matches that are made between the two. So there's also a section too where you can fill out different roles or industry interests that will help populate what appears in the search functionality. So include as many as you would like, especially in the skills and role and industry interests. So that way you have the most comprehensive profile available. Availability is another important part of this because it's talking about whether or not you would like to be considered for more long-term engagements or potentially internships or full-time work after completing a micro-internship. So you can almost consider this like a pipeline, right? So you do a really good job on on a project, and therefore you could be considered for internships or full-time work. So it really builds upon itself. That availability piece is always nice. And then finally, you can include web profiles on here. What they're just talking about is maybe like your LinkedIn as an example. If you have a professional Twitter or other social networking site, you can utilize that. I encourage you to only include any social profiles that actually make sense, that are going to promote you professionally. So if you have a professional Instagram, that makes a lot of sense, but for most of us, it probably won't. So we would take something like that off. Now, as your interests and skills and availability change, be sure to update these because the profile is only as smart as what you tell it to, because that again populates what you see in the job function section. Now, they do have a couple of pieces on building your profile that you can add as enhancements. So there are a section for experience. If you've had jobs or internships, maybe you've led a club or you've participated in a club, you can add that here. Education is also a key part of it as well, since many of our majors may be associated with some projects that you're searching for. Your resume is going to get uploaded. And then finally, my favorite part is any additional documents. So you can include actual samples of your work, even class projects in here. So the profile, shouldn't take you too long to build. I'm imagining maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And then you can go out and start getting that all put together and actually searching for positions. So once you've actually built the profile, we're going to look at how you search and apply for positions. That's kind of step one. You kind of can't view anything until you develop the profile. So when you're actually looking for positions within Parker Dewey, you're brought to this page, and this is where your profile selections will populate the types of projects you see. And that's just up here in this little area called opportunities. And you can see right below that too, where all of the positions are actually listed. They have start dates, they have different details that you're able to view. You can also favorite things in order to add them to a list to save for later. I also encourage you to, there's a few filters at the top that you can utilize as well. So you have ones for on-site or remote, or if you're looking at a particular state, maybe you're trying to target companies that are within that area. So be sure to look at those as well. Any of the favorites will obviously appear in this area. And if you decide to as well, you can also select functionality where you hide things and it doesn't appear in there. Alrighty, so once we're looking actually at a position, I picked the first one on the list. This is a position where a company, it's a real estate organization, they're looking for different ways to expand their commercial property owners. And they've got a short description of the project in there. You can see that they've got an Excel file of different properties, and they need people to go through this information and create some contacts with them and get their right phone and email address listed. So this is the project's listed here with when it needs to get started, when it's due by. You can see the different, the number of hours they think this might take you, as well as the payment option here too. So this whole opportunity is paid with $450, so pretty nice. Of course, you can also explore the company. I encourage you to go to their LinkedIn profile or onto their website so you can learn more about these companies. Parker Dewey does vet all of these positions, so they actually are having conversations with these people before they get posted. So everything in the system is legitimate, and you won't have to worry about payment from the from the company itself. That's actually facilitated through Parker Dewey, so you'll never have to, be chasing someone around in order to get paid. So let's just say we decided to apply for this one. This is where the application looks just a bit different from what you would do when you actually apply for an internship that maybe lasts 3 to 4 months. You will apply with the resume that you have uploaded in the system. So make sure that that's as up to date as possible. And the other part of this that changes is that you actually have to respond to a series of questions that the organization has posed. In this case, they want to know why you're a good fit for this position. And this person also wants to know how you would approach the project. And these questions, you should be providing as much information as you can in order to make sure that you answer the question fully. It doesn't necessarily mean you're writing a book to them, but you should be able to clearly and concisely describe what your, in this case, your approach is and why you're a good fit. Both of these questions here will change based off of what the organization is looking for. But if you look at these questions they're asking, it's almost like what you would write for a cover letter. So it's not entirely different from what you would normally do. It's actually shorter and gets more to the point, which is the whole idea behind this system. So as soon as you submit that information, you're just clicking that application, and the employers end up going through and reading that and then selecting the best candidate for that, for the position. So check your email frequently. If you are selected, you'll receive a message from Parker Dewey, and pay attention to the due dates of the project too, because that information is really important since they have a deadline that they need it by. Now, in the chat box, Luke is going to be including a video here. It's advice on how to land a project. There's a couple of videos that show how students actually stood out from the crowd and were able to land a project because of the way that they built their profile, their resume, and then, of course, their responses to these questions. So let's say you've been chosen for a micro internship. What actually happens? So that email will come from Parker Dewey, and it has a couple of pieces of information in it. Number one, it's who is your supervisor. There's a connection made there. You'll also have some information on accounting forms. And this is actually for you to get paid because you're actually going to be considered a contract worker. So Parker Dewey will help you facilitate that. And then there's a terms of use in there as well. And this is just letting you know how Parker Dewey works and what the payment process looks like once you've been selected for an internship. So none of the payment process happens through Kelley, none of it happens through the company, it's all through Parker Dewey. And Hannah's including in the chat some best practices once you've actually been selected for a project, and a link about what happens after the project, including what the payment process looks like. Of course, if you have any questions, we are able to help to a degree, but we may have to refer you to Parker Dewey for any questions that may arise about the payment in particular. So what ultimately makes someone successful in micro-internships? I really love them because they have so many opportunities for you to take advantage of. They serve a lot of different students and the different needs that you might have, whether that's the time you are able to bring to an organization or you just have a little bit of experience and you want to gain even more. But that flexibility also comes with a lot of responsibility. So people who are taking on micro-internships really need to be self-driven and disciplined. There's not someone hanging over your head in order to get this project done. You have to be able to say, I've got great time management skills and I'm able to fit this into my schedule and then accomplish it by the due date. But equally, this is not you going alone on an island trying to complete this project. You should be curious, you should be eager to learn, and you should be in constant communication with the supervisor to know what their expectations are for the project. So there's a lot of individual perseverance that you'll have when you're doing a micro-internship. But it's also going to display your ability to work remotely, since most of these opportunities are functioning in that way. And that's a huge skill set that employers are asking now for people to be able to be independent workers while working remotely. So you'll get to practice that. It's a big benefit. Now, of course, KIX is here to help you. We have appointments and drop-ins that are available, and Luke's going to include here in the chat a couple of pieces of information. First of all, our website, kelleycareersonline.com. You can go there to access Kelley Careers, to make appointments, to talk to us about any of the topics that you see listed there. In addition, we have our live chat hours too that will be happening. In fact, we will be online today, that is Friday, from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock, and you will get to talk to Luke and another staff member too through that online chat. Now, if you have additional questions, please contact us at kix@iupui.edu if something isn't functioning for you, or if you have a very specific question, we're happy to answer those too. This micro-internship opportunity is going to be a way for you to incorporate that on your resume as well. So we're happy to help walk you through what that will look like and how you'll actually put it onto a document, and also how you talk about it during an interview or in a cover letter. We're here to help you with that as well. So that is it for me right now. And I know that we have just a few minutes, about 5 minutes left. So I will open up this opportunity for you to ask any questions you would like. It could be micro-internship related or not. And you can put those in the chat or in the Q&A box. So we'll leave that open. If you don't have any questions, thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time and effort to make today happen, and also enjoy the rest of your conference. Kelley's got a great day planned for you. So have a wonderful day if you don't have any questions from us.